Market Mover Media is a proud sponsor of the Schaftlein Report. If you have a product or service you want to promote, a video press release is your best answer for immediate results. Market Mover Media specializes in internet advertising, and a video press release is the most effective and affordable way to launch or revitalize a product or service. Market Mover Media also uses the custom video to promote your brand on YouTube while increasing your website visibility on search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing. To schedule a free consultation and learn how your press release videos can produce immediate results, go to marketmovermedia.com right now. That's marketmovermedia.com.
Hello, everybody. Mark Schaftlein with you, and this is the Schaftlein Report. It's Tuesday's edition, the first business day and the first television and radio day of 2023. Happy to have all our viewers and listeners with us. We hope you had a great holidays. We hope you had a great New Year's, and it's back into the fight just like we've been in for the past couple of years. However, folks, this is not a fight with the Democrats. It's a fight with the far right wing of our party. Now, we have supported in the past many of the goals, efforts of the conservative base. However, this is a misguided attempt. This is not good. This is what we do not need at this particular time. The speaker's job is up for grabs right now with Kevin McCarthy having to fight to get it. And the Freedom Caucus and other far right-wing groups are preventing him from getting the election. Now, Brian Kilmead of Fox News characterized it like this: they are looking like idiots. And in this case, we happen to agree. We're very strong supporters of Kevin McCarthy on this show. He's raised millions of dollars for the party. He has campaigned for some of the people who frankly now are voting against him. Folks, this is not right. This is not how we wanted to start the new Congress. We've got a group of recalcitrant Republicans. This is not doing anything to advance the conservative agenda. And frankly, the five ringleaders in this piece, I don't even want to give you their names to distinguish them. It absolutely disgusts me what's going on here. Yeah, idealistically, we want to see bills read before they're voted on. That's not a problem. But McCarthy's a true conservative. And for these people to say he's not is simply an abuse of power. And this is not something that people across the country were elected on to give the Republicans a majority in the House of Representatives. We strongly support Kevin McCarthy. I don't agree with him on everything, but we agree with him on over 95% of the stuff. And they're arguing about procedures that, frankly, the American public did not send them with a majority to Washington for this type of infighting. If I'm McCarthy and I'm in his camp, I don't care how long it takes. You stay there and you get that nomination and you get those votes, and to hell with those right-wing Republicans. If they're not going to sit here and come around, then you have vote after vote after vote. I don't give a damn if any business gets done. You stand and fight for what you believe in, and don't let these far right-wingers of the party cause us to drift in that direction. That is a loser's battle, folks, I'm telling you. Yeah, there's a place for everyone, but when I look at the people, they support Kevin McCarthy, and we need to be able to do that too. So, as you can see, the vote is ongoing right now. We're continuing to see how this vote pans out, and they're likely to vote into the night. This thing may not get done on the second round, third round, fourth, who knows? But we are optimistic that McCarthy will stick to his guns, stay in this fight until he, and he alone, is elected Speaker of the House. And frankly, the disdain that these far right-wingers are generating by the rest of the party against them, boy, it's going to be a well-deserved. I'm telling you something, folks. This is about as bad as it gets. You know, we like to chastise Democrats when they have bad policies, bad procedures, bad bills. This is as bad as it gets on our side. So for all, you know, the Democrats that watch say, come on, Schaftlein, you got to be fair with people. We're being fair. This stinks to high heaven, and it's not what people voted on in the November elections. Hopefully, as these rounds go along, McCarthy can garner enough votes, and we'll report back on it tomorrow to see if that happens. All right, in the meantime, over in the Senate, Mitch McConnell has now achieved, you know, one of his lifelong goals. He is now the longest serving leader in Senate history. And some of you like him, some of you don't. I happen to like Mitch McConnell a lot. He's from my home state of Kentucky, and he's represented us in the Senate very well. And he, more than anyone else, more than Trump, is responsible for those justices we have on the Supreme Court right now. So congratulations to Mitch McConnell. We're a firm supporter of Mitch McConnell's. And I'm really tired of hearing all the far right wingers, you know, the Dick Morrises of the world included, just throwing arrows at Mitch McConnell. You know, we don't need that. You know, I go by Ronald Reagan's commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. You know, we've got enough of a Democratic opponent, the media, what we have to deal with if we're going to advance our agenda. We still have a Democratic Senate we have to deal with and a Democratic president to sign bills. So despite the wishes of the far right wing of our party, we can't govern from the far right wing or we get zero done. There has to be some reasonableness to this process. So congratulations, you know, to Mitch McConnell. But folks, we're going to be in there supporting Kevin McCarthy as long as it takes. And I hope he stays for the balance of it, because if he is not elected speaker, that is going to be a defeat for democracy. I can assure you of that. All right, now let me move on to some additional non-political news that everyone in most of the country is talking about. And that's what happened to Demar Hamlin last night in the football game between the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. You know, it followed the Rose Bowl. It had an enormous audience because it was the end of the holiday season. And Hamlin had a cardiac arrest on the field while making a tackle. This is a shocking event. His current status, as of the airing of this show, he's at a Cincinnati hospital, sedated. His heart did start beating after 6 to 8 minutes of CPR by the medical miracle workers, as I call them, you know, to get the man's heart beating again after going into cardiac arrest on the field. But he's in a local hospital in critical condition. We wish nothing but the best for him and his family. There's not much more you can say at that point. I saw online today where a charity that the man formed has had $3 million of donations already. I think they set it up. Their goal was to get like $2,500 of donations for kids. $3 million already. There's a lot of people that care about this young man, and rightfully so. He's a credit to his community. And I got to say this, you know, a lot of stuff still has to come about the sequence of events last night. Who did what, when, with whom, how did the game, you know, who made the calls on what was going to happen. But the two coaches last night for Cincinnati and Buffalo really distinguished themselves by looking out for the character of the individual who was in cardiac arrest versus, you know, what might be considered, you know, the need to get back and play the game. And apparently that was really never under consideration. So again, this is a tough story, but it's one everyone in America is talking about, particularly people that saw that game last night or, you know, the first 10 minutes of the game. And we wish nothing but the best for Demar Hamlin and the family of Hamlin and the community of Buffalo of what was just a horrific event. And, you know, we're not going to join some course of people criticizing the NFL because this is such a rarity. I believe it's only the second time in the history of the league that something like this has happened. But it happened on live national television last night, so we wish the best. You know, CPA, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, being performed for 6 to 8 minutes, you know, following the collapse and then having the game postponed. That's a lot of medical attention, folks. And we don't, you know, obviously know the outcome here, but all we can do is wish the young man the best, and that something positive hopefully can come out and he can recover from this. You know, in the meantime, going from, you know, news such as that to the news that broke, literally over the holidays, that the man charged in the 4 murders of the Idaho students, Kohberger's his last name. He's going to be in court in Pennsylvania today. Apparently, he's not going to fight extradition charges back to Idaho for the trial, claiming his innocence. But people are resting a little bit easier, knowing that the man was indicted. There was enough evidence to present that indictment, more evidence to come, and we still haven't heard from the man charged. Hopefully we will today, but we certainly will at some point in the future. So for the families of those 4 victims, at least some consolation news in the fact that this killer, or apparent killer, was apprehended in Pennsylvania. There was evidence, DNA evidence linking him to the crime scene, evidence of his car. They still have not found the murder weapon yet. But we'll, again, stay on top of this developing story, too. We're coming at you in bunches today, folks, and they are all still developing. So this literally is news in progress as we're speaking. And we're broadcasting from Delray Beach, Florida, about an hour and 15 minutes north of Miami. And we've talked about the migrant crisis before. Well, migrants are now landing in the Florida Keys. They're coming across primarily from Cuba, landing on dry Tortugas, which is about 90 miles west of Key West. And there's migrants landing in the Florida Keys. Now, I'm going to date myself here, but I was around a little bit when they had what used to be called the Mariel boat lift a long time ago, where literally hundreds of thousands of Cubans came to this country. A lot of them settled, in Miami, Dade County. And so you're starting to see what was a wave of migrants going to Texas and Arizona. Now you're starting to see a trickle of that coming into Florida. Now, obviously, you got to come to Florida via boat because that's the only way to get there. So we are starting to see that. And over the last couple months, you've seen the pictures on television of the hordes of migrants and what's going on with Title 42, and we've talked about that on previous shows. But over the last 3 months, 212,000 people are what they call gotaways. They didn't turn themselves in voluntarily. They weren't processed. They just got through security at the border. And 72,000 of that 212 came in last month. So what is the reaction? Well, Texas, the Texas National Guard, is installing razor wire to the degree it can in certain areas to protect the border. The federal government threatened Arizona, and so Arizona had to remove the containers they were using to block it. So it seems like Arizona and Texas, and again, new in Florida now, are doing everything they can to protect the interests of the country. The Biden administration is doing everything in their power not to. That's been a consistent theme we've talked about for the last year. We're into the new year. Nothing has changed yet, folks. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. And they launched strikes against Russian positions. Reports showed upward 400 to 500 Russian soldiers killed in these attacks. 62 apparently on one missile strike to a headquarters building. Now, again, for what you want to say about the Russians, the moms of these soldiers are being killed. The Russian government's finally opening up to the fact that their sons are being killed in this war. And it's not going over real well in Russia. So the Russian women and their families are angry about what's going on. Who can blame them? Their kids weren't the ones that started this war. It was clearly that Vladimir Putin. And these kids are being used as cannon fodder. You know it, and I know it. And to add insult to injury, the conditions are brutal over there in the winter right now. Temperatures are way below freezing, sometimes near zero. And people are actually freezing to death. So, horrific situation continues, in the fight for Ukraine. And we're getting reports on a daily basis of simply the hardships that not only the Ukrainian soldiers are going through, but the Russian soldiers also. So bad situation, and apparently it's getting worse. Yeah, sprinkling a little business news for you here. Two favorite stocks from last year as we open up the new year, Apple and Tesla, continue to fall. Both stocks hitting 52-week lows. And Apple, really for the first time in a very long time, has fallen below the $2 trillion market capitalization, as defined by your share price times the number of shares outstanding. Apple has continued to buy back its own stock. Warren Buffett, through Berkshire Hathaway, has continued to be a very large shareholder in Apple. So there are Apple bulls on the street, but stock was down another $4 to $5 again today, and it is testing 52-week lows, trading around $124 a share. Tesla, on the other hand, fell another $12 to $18 today. $18 last time as we aired the show, trading around $105 a share, rapidly continuing to lose market capitalization. It's still the largest auto company by far, but it is not being viewed necessarily as a technology company anymore. And for stock investors in those two stocks in particular, it's been quite a rough ride. And that rough ride is continuing here into the new year as the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ continue their slide into 2023. So I know we've hit you with a lot today, and we are going to close it out, with a remembrance here of Pope Emeritus Benedict, who passed away again over the holiday weekend. He currently lies in state in St. Peter's Basilica. So the Roman Catholic Church is mourning his passing, and Pope Francis will be conducting a service for him. So our prayers go out to the Catholic hierarchy and leadership, and particularly to Pope Emeritus, Pope Benedict. So, folks, again, I know we covered a lot of ground. A lot of this stuff is ongoing. There are votes literally going on right now in the House of Representatives. They'll go to round 2, maybe round 3. We just hope at some point that common sense prevails and that Kevin McCarthy can attain the speakership, which he so richly deserves, and we can get back to the business of governing instead of intra-party fighting. All right, so again, we'll be back tomorrow and Thursday this week. Thanks for viewing and listening. And again, we'll call them straight, folks. We criticize the Democrats, but right now the Republicans if they picked the way to screw it up, they couldn't do it any worse. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks for viewing and listening. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.
Market Mover Media is a proud sponsor of the Schaftlein Report. If you have a product or service you want to promote, a video press release is your best answer for immediate results. Market Mover Media specializes in internet advertising, and a video press release is the most effective and affordable way to launch or revitalize a product or service. Market Mover Media also uses the custom video to promote your brand on YouTube while increasing your website visibility on search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing. To schedule a free consultation and learn how your press release videos can produce immediate results, go to marketmovermedia.com right now. That's marketmovermedia.com.